For those of you who don't know me, I started an RS3 Iron Man series really recently on YouTube after not playing RS3 since about 2017. And I'd like to just talk about something real quick. This isn't a progress video, but I just like to talk about something really quick that kind of, I don't know, is a red flag for me. And that is that the Dungeoneering skill is completely dead content. And the Dungeoneering skill isn't that old, right? It's the fourth most recent skill to be released. And it's kind of iconic if you think about kind of like what a lot of people consider to be the golden times in RuneScape, like 2011, say 2010 to 2012. Like it's a really iconic skill. But if you look right here, this is the official Dungeoneering world that I'm on. First of all, there's only one. Back in my day, there used to be 3 of them based on like different level ranges and stuff like that. But this is the only Dungeoneering world, and there is nobody here. Absolutely nobody. Like there's these, like I guess a couple people here. Maybe they're doing some group stuff, maybe some clanmates or something. But there is nobody here, like advertising worlds or whatever, or floors or whatever, which is kind of sad because it's like. I guess the problem I have is that I don't understand why the recent content has been designed in a way that you can just completely skip this skill, right? I understand that not everybody loves Dungeoneering, right? But at the end of the day, it is still a major part of the game. And I guess the issue that I've been seeing is that it seems that recently, again, like maybe this has been happening since when I used to play as well, but recently especially, it seems that Jagex has pushed more in a direction of, instead of like developing early and mid-game content, they just develop content that either skips over it so that you have some OP XP rate that allows you to just zoom right past it, or they sell you the solution via keys or something like that. And I think it's a shame. Like, why not just make the early to mid game content good? I know that's easier said than done. Now, I think this started to really happen around the release of Sinkholes, but it really ramped up when Elite Dungeons seemed to come out, because now people can just farm an unlimited amount of tokens without actually having to do Dungeoneering. Which brings us to, why would you do Dungeoneering? Well, there's a handful of very useful rewards that come with different levels, right? Most of them are purchased via Dungeoneering tokens, which you get from 10% of the XP that you've earned for a floor, right? You have some tier 80 weapons, you have some very useful kind of like niche items like or not really niche, but kind of unique items like the Charming Imp and whatnot, right? They're very useful items that are definitely worth getting. And as well as the Dungeoneering level itself allows you to not only farm tokens faster, but it's a requirement for certain quests, and also you get access to resource dungeons, right? But right now, there's no incentive to actually do Dungeoneering. Why would you go do Dungeoneering when you can just go farm tokens faster through Elite Dungeons, get some XP up, and then also, maybe do the Dunge Hole on the beach, which came out a couple years ago. That's another big factor in this, I think. Because back when the beach event came out, when I used to play, the Dunge Hole wasn't a thing, and then also daily challenges and whatnot, right? Like, why would you do Dungeoneering when you have those things as options? And again, I guess it just feels like sometimes Jagex just kind of caters content towards the end game, and tries to make, instead of making the early to mid game good, they just try to make it painless, right? Releasing more and more AFK methods, easier methods to get up to, like, say 80s and 90s skills, right? Rather than actually making the content good. But for example, let's say that Dungeoneering needed a refresh. Instead of allowing you to farm 200,000 tokens an hour, doing some 81 trash runs or something like that, why don't we actually update the Dungeoneering skill itself to make it better? Maybe update some outdated bosses or add some new bosses, maybe add some new mechanics, right? It doesn't need to be all recycled content. Like, you can add some freshness to the skill while still keeping it the core skill. But the way it is right now is the Dungeoneering skill itself is completely dead content, right? The only thing that people do is they go token farming to get their rewards, and then they're done with it, right? But the skill itself is completely dead content. So maybe if people weren't enjoying the skill, right, back when they decided to release token rewards and XP rewards from Elite Dungeons and whatnot, instead of just putting in an easy way out of adding these token rewards and whatnot that give people the option to farm tokens outside of Dungeoneering, why not just make the skill better, right? Why not just make it better? Now, first of all, I'd like to preface this by saying that I think Jagex has done a good job by adding like certain unlocks and whatnot that do make Dungeoneering better, like the Dungeoneering aura, right, that you get from doing the task system. It gives you some extra benefits and whatnot that allow you to do things faster, a little bit easier, what have you. But you actually have to unlock them, which is I think is a good way to go about things. Now, I'm not a game designer, but here's a few ideas of things that could freshen up Dungeoneering a little bit. Firstly, I think it would be really cool to have certain unlocks come from directly things that you directly do inside dungeons, right? Like maybe there's a certain unlock that you get, like this is a bad example, but I don't think that this item should be in particular, but just as an example, since I don't have a fresh idea, but let's say something like the Charming Imp, right? Instead of unlocking the Charming Imp from 100,000 Dungeoneering tokens, let's say that you do it by reaching floor 50 and doing it and completing large floor 50 in under 20 minutes or something like that. Have certain challenges specific to Dungeoneering that if you complete, you get rewards for, right? Again, the Charming Imp is just like the first thing that popped off my top of my head, but it could be anything, right? Things that, and obviously Jagex has to scale the rewards properly so that it's, they're not overpowered, but they are worth getting and they're worth striving for. But that's just one idea. Another idea is just to like kind of refresh the skill and add some new content to make it more interesting. I don't think that the XP rates and stuff need tweaking a whole lot. Like you always could get over 500,000 to 1 million Dungeoneering XP an hour without boosts or anything like that. So I don't think that's really necessary. But maybe updating some old really annoying bosses, some old really annoying puzzle rooms, and updating them with fresher ones that are more engaging and just better. The other thing that I think would be kind of cool is that if your skills had more of an impact on the dungeons themselves, right? Now, currently they do have an impact. Like there's certain things are locked behind certain skills and whatnot, whether it be skill doors or your ability to make things or what have you. But it's all scaled, right? It just scales directly to your levels. So most of the time it doesn't really matter anyways. Even if you're a max player, you're still going to run into doors you can't do, and if you're starting off from the beginning, I'm not saying that it should be scaled to like basically be locked like an elite skill or something. Like you basically need 70 plus stats to even be able to do Dungeoneering. That's not what I'm saying, but maybe have there be some kind of incentives that would make it a lot better. Like maybe this is a bad example because I know this is already part of the diary reward, but let's say at like a certain rune crafting level, you'd automatically get like runes for gate stones and teleports and stuff like that right off the bat. Like when you start the dungeon, because of your rune crafting level, you automatically spawn in and your character immediately make some runes or something like that. I know that kind of exists with the diary already, but that's just an example of like something that a certain skill level could provide a really unique benefit. Another thing that I think would be necessary is to revamp the grouping system a bit. Like they used to have these rooms, right, where you would group and stuff like that, but nobody really used them. People would just kind of spam what floors they're doing. And I'm not really sure how you would fix that, but I think it would be necessary to have a better grouping system. Maybe integrating. Honestly, I don't really like how this grouping system works. To be honest, it feels kind of clunky, but having something smoother where you can group up with people, maybe in your FC or something like that, would be necessary. Another cool idea that I think would be pretty neat to add to Dungeoneering is having like random event type dungeons, right? Now we already have like sinkholes, but that's not what I'm talking about. That's just a D&D, and it's just, I don't know, it's just kind of lame, honestly. But what I think would be cool if there's actually like a random dungeon that pops up, and then you can group up, you can, say teleport in some people from your FC or something, and then you pop in there with your bound items and everything. Like it's just like a random floor, right, that you guys have to do, and maybe there's slightly more XP, slightly more XP and tokens from that floor would be pretty cool. And then obviously it probably wouldn't fit into the normal scaling of like, frozen, furnished, warped floors, whatever. It would probably be its own thing. And then the XP would scale to your level, right? And this could also encourage people to group together with people who aren't necessarily of the same Dungeoneering level. If a random event pops up on somebody's world, they can message people within their clan, and anybody from any Dungeoneering level could come and join and just do a floor quick, and it would be more rewarding for the more people that joined, but also the rewards would be scaled on your level, so it wouldn't be overpowered or something to have somebody with 120 grouping up with somebody who's like level 60 or something like that. And then obviously it wouldn't be floors like in the traditional sense, so the XP wouldn't be based on that either. Again, there would be a lot of kind of like balance and tweaking that would need to go into that to make sure it's not overpowered, but I think that would be really cool. I don't know. I think there's a lot of things you could do. Those are just a handful of ideas like that off the top of my head. You know what I mean? Again, a lot of them would have to go under like some testing and stuff with balance and stuff to make sure that they are implemented properly. But I think that could be really cool. I'm kind of sick of, with this game, it kind of feels like they just release more and more updates to skip over content rather than just producing good early to mid-level content, and that goes for all skills. That's how it feels sometimes anyways. It just feels like kind of lazy, to be honest, you know what I mean? And so I'd like to see some, like, again, right now the whole entire Dungeoneering skill is completely dead content. The only thing that isn't dead content is the rewards, and people just go and farm tokens so that they can get the rewards. But the actual skill and the training of the skill itself is completely dead content. Pretty much the same could go for like divination, for example, right? Like divination is completely skipped through via caches up until basically like the 90s, where people go farm energy on Iron Man or maybe do it for money or something. I don't know. But pretty much everyone, like, you can get to 99 just doing caches within like a few months, right? It's absolutely insane. Like, for example, Jagex hit the nail right on the head with archaeology. It's an amazing skill, right? Every level, all the content throughout the whole thing is completely worth doing, right? Because of the way that it works, like the achievements and whatnot, and the collections and whatnot. It's all incredibly engaging along the way. You do get some extra upgrades once you get to level 70 that make it more AFK and whatnot. But the skill itself at its core is good all the way through. All the content all the way through that I've been through. I'm not even to level 70 yet, but everyone says it gets better after level 70. And even though, like, I'd say like, say 40 to 65 is a little bit of a grind, you know what I mean? I can tell that with the Seniston update, and Jagex kind of wanted to fill in that gap a little bit by adding those extra spots around level 60, and I think they did a good job of that. Like, the archaeology skill feels jammed packed full of content. That's rewarding. Maybe at times a little bit overpowered with some things that were released, but it feels rewarding and amazing to train. And it's engaging content. It's great. Where divination and dungeoneering just don't. Like, imagine if Jagex did with archaeology what they did with divination and dungeoneering, right? Like, imagine if one day they were just like, okay, hey, there's this D&D you can do that gives you a ton of XP, it gives you chronotes, and it also gives you progress towards your qualifications, so you don't need to worry about restoring artifacts, you don't need to worry about doing mysteries, anything like that. Basically, if you do this daily every day, you can just skip over the entire skill, right? Then what the hell is the point of actually developing the skill? Right? Now, I get that divination isn't as deep as archaeology, obviously, but maybe that's just a sign that the divination skill isn't that good and should be better. So yeah, anyways, in short, I guess what I'd like to see is, instead of having Jagex just kind of throw out these updates that feel lazy to skip over content, like, let's just see some better content with skills. You know what I mean? Like, Jagex puts so much effort into like PVM updates and stuff like that. Like, I was looking at some of the Zamorak release stuff. There's so much effort that goes into that, right? And I feel like they just sell the end game, and then when it comes to the mid game and the early game, it's just like, oh, well, here's a new OP method so that you can skip over that to get to the good stuff, right? But it shouldn't be that way, right? The whole game should be good. Anyways, rant's over. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this, right? Especially about Dungeoneering, right? I kind of miss doing Dungeoneering. I was looking forward to doing Dungeoneering as I was coming back to RS3. I know it's not the most popular skill. Not everybody likes it, but maybe if there was some updates to make it better. Like, I'm not saying better as in like, oh, here's more free tokens and more free XP, but better as far as like the actual content, then maybe more people would actually be interested in doing it, right? So anyways, subscribe to my channel. Actually, if you're watching this video in 4 hours, I'll be going live on Twitch as well. Twitch.tv/Ranarr Dealer. On the Iron Man here, we're going to be doing our first Hellweir Reaper during that stream. So come stop by and say hi, and especially if you'd like to discuss this topic as well, you can discuss it with me live. So, and subscribe. Help me get up to 1,000 subs. I'm really, really close. So thanks for watching, and you guys have a good one.
you.